All right, you guys. Hello, happy Monday to you all. I put together a panel of my colleagues, my peers, and we wanted to just come on and spend a little time with you guys. In this downtime, we decided it'd be a good idea to catch each other up with what's going on in the market, in their business, and then obviously, give that intel, give that information to you guys. So I got 6 of my colleagues, fellow colleagues in the business. We're gonna start with Rick. Rick, why don't you tell everybody, introduce yourself?
Yeah. Hey, thanks for having me, Jarvis. My name is Rico. I'm with the Lucas Howard Group with Keller Williams out of Grand Rapids area. I'm excited to be here. I know this is a crazy time for a lot of people, whether it's you're impacted economically, health-wise, or sometimes you're not even able to work. And so definitely think this is a good thing for people to kind of get some positivity and kind of really know what's going on versus what they just might hear through the rumor mill.
For sure. Awesome, Rick. Thanks for joining us. How about you, Dan?
Yep, Daniel Naurato. I'm with Keller Williams Advantage out of Novi. I've been in the business for a little over 4 years, about 4.5 years. And as Rick said, just our thoughts go out to everyone that's kind of dealing with whether it's health or financial issues right now. We hope everyone's staying safe and staying inside. So.
All right, Kelly, thanks for joining us. Hi.
Hi, Kelly Belcher. I am from Key Mortgage, Inc. I've been in the business for almost 20 years. So I just hope everyone is staying safe and sane, really. I know that this week homeschool is starting, so I hope everyone is well and feeling good in their homes.
All right, Joe, thanks for joining us, Joe.
Hey, thanks for putting this together, Jarvis and everybody for, joining in. Joe Muck with Next Home All Pro. We're in downtown Northville. Been in this part of the business this is my 4th year and been around the business for, at least a decade doing different things, moving and mortgages and stuff like that. So, we're definitely as everybody is, we're in a different time. Our primary focus is health and promoting, health and safety. But our actual business is obviously focused on real estate. So I just think it's a great time to, once we know what we're doing health-wise, to be able to know what we're going to do business-wise, because there's a lot of business questions that are going to come up over the next months and how we're going to, respond.
Absolutely. We're definitely going to touch on that. You, Willie, go ahead, introduce yourself, Willie.
Yes, I'm Willie Davis with Remax Eclipse out of Waterford. And I'm actually one of the partners of the Best Davis team there with Kathleen Best, my partner. I've been in real estate coming up on 4 years now. And I actually want to show my appreciation, give a shout out to our healthcare workers and the first responders, and just a lot of those people on the front line. We talk about our business and the struggles and stress that we have, but at the end of the day, we're not saving lives, and this isn't rocket science. So that's really helped me put my position and my job in perspective too. So I just want to kind of give a shout out and acknowledge them today.
Absolutely. I don't know how we follow up after that, Willie. Good job. No, 100%.
Well, there you go.
I think we all share those sentiments for sure. And Ashley, thanks for jumping on. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Hey guys, my name's Ashley. I'm with the Mark Z's real estate team. I've been in real estate now for 3 years. And I'm happy to be on here, so thanks for inviting me, Jarvis. Spreading some positivity is amazing right now, and I hope everybody is just staying safe, doing their part by staying at home as hard as it is, and we're all in this together.
Absolutely. And then, hey, you guys, I'm Jarvis King with Signature Sotheby's out of downtown Northville. I've been in the business in this capacity just under, I thought longer, but I remember I came into the business right after Dan, so I thought I was in the business a little bit longer than I was. So as a real estate agent, just under 4 years. But I was in different area. I was doing leasing for about 6 years prior to that. So, but just like piggybacking what everybody else said, we really do have our hearts out for all the healthcare workers, but then even all of our clients and friends and family of our clients. We really just keep them in our prayers in these times. We hope everyone stays safe. But we're glad you guys are tuning in. What we're going to do today is actually give you guys a feel for our experience in the market right now. And our experience, us being the professionals, we think it's a great idea to let you all know what to anticipate. And then just for those other agents, just to kind of, that aren't really, I won't say aren't really active, but just haven't really been able to have a good gauge on what's going on. We wanted to share share what we have going on. So for starters, Rick, I'll ask you, what's in the last few weeks, what's been your experience in the marketplace? And if you could, you guys, I was noticing when you all were talking, I was kind of having a hard time hearing you guys. So could you just kind of speak up, make sure everyone can hear you?
Yeah, definitely. If ever you can't hear me, just let me know and I'll talk louder.
All right.
I would say these last couple of weeks have been pretty up and down for a lot of people. I know our market as a whole might look a little different than it does over on the east side of the state. It's been extremely competitive. And even then, I mean, even just this weekend, there's agents who are still having 10 to 12 offers on properties. I think we've embraced the change and kind of, as it was mentioned before, pivoted relatively quickly with what's going on. And so there are still a lot of people who need to sell their house, and there are a lot of people who need to buy still. And I think being able to educate both sides to express how things are working is key to that. I mean, just 2 weeks ago, or not this last weekend, but 2 Fridays ago, I think for that weekend, there were about 61 new listings that hit the market just on the weekend. 61. Wow. And then by Monday, there were 63 pending offers, new deals done. So our market is still pretty competitive. I think the bigger challenge that people are finding is people who maybe were approved aren't anymore. Their income's changed, their job's been impacted, and so it has a lot of people reeling back. So it's really, while it looks different, it's still really competitive for a lot of our buyers, which is a good thing.
For sure. Willie, we want to jump over to you. Can you answer that question? How about for you? How's your business looked, or how's business looked for you in the last few weeks?
Actually, it's been pretty interesting for the simple fact that as we sit here, I have 2 buyers pending and a renter about to sign a lease. And I know that's odd and that's not the norm for what a lot of people are seeing right now. But I think part of that is with my 2 buyers that I had, the conversation that I had with them is, if you're willing to be creative of how you find your house in shopping for it, whether it be virtual tours or anything like that, you can get any house that you want with a good enough offer. Because there are a lot of people who, they don't want to put an offer sight unseen. Obviously, the order that we have here in Michigan, with the written consent of the inspector and the seller, you can come to the inspection. But some people, I think it's them wrapping their mind around this new way of buying. Everyone's used to going into 10 houses, touching 10 cupboards, touching, all these faucets and stuff like that. And they can't. So, a week ago, I had a buyer who, she got pre-approved on Saturday. We put in an offer Sunday morning. It got accepted on Monday. Inspection was on Tuesday. Appraisal was on Wednesday. And we're hoping to close by the end of next week. I know some of that has to do with the lender itself, being great, but she was willing to be creative and take advantage of a lot of other people for various reasons not being able to or wanting to at this time. So I think those are things. It's just a matter of those type of conversations that we have with the buyers.
Awesome. How about you, Dan? Can you kind of pivot and answer that question as well? For you specifically, how's your business been affected?
Yeah. So first and foremost, I think that agents, title, lenders, inspectors have all pivoted pretty nicely and adapted to what's happening right now, and doing, for realtors' sake, doing everything virtually. and just appraisers and inspectors getting into houses, keeping everyone safe. I think that's been huge. I've put both buyer and seller under contract through this quarantine. As Rick was saying, again, kind of piggybacking off of him, there is a lot of demand still. I just accepted an offer on a $230,000 price point in South Lyon. We had 8 offers in 2 days.
Oh, wow. I knew that was going to go quick. I saw that one.
There are people that are definitely still looking. I think it's price point specific. Obviously, if you talk to people that are in the higher price points, I think it's probably softening a little bit just because there aren't as many buyers. But my buyers that I've been putting in offers for, every single one of them was multiple offers as well. Again, around that $200,000 price point. But as of right now, I think there's still definitely demand there.
Sure.
And so that's what I've seen for the most part. Obviously, it's been, again, I talk about pivoting and adapting. There's been different stuff I've had a couple closings to this time and doing walkthroughs or not being at the closing. That's a little different for us, but we found ways to do it, and everything's been closing and turning out. So
for sure. How about you, Ashley? What's been your experience?
Well, when I look back on my numbers from March of last year to this year, it's definitely slowed down, but nonetheless, I've gotten a couple accepted, all buyers. It's nice to see everybody adjust. Just like with you, you were able to show my clients a house via FaceTime, which is awesome. I've actually had sellers FaceTiming my clients, showing them the house, which I think is awesome. It's definitely different, and I think it's going to change how we do a lot of things. But nonetheless, I mean, there's people that still need to buy and sell. There's a ton of essential workers out there that are still working during this. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, Joe, why don't you wrap it up for us? What's been your experience?
It's been an experience to say the least, but overall, definitely kind of like everyone's saying. I mean, it's unique and it's individual, but definitely have had a few individuals who, they were active before, they're active now. And everybody was kind of like in a standstill. I mean, I look at our stay-at-home order really as like 2 parts so far. We had our first 3 weeks that started on March 23rd. And then on April 10th, it got renewed to the end of the month. And I feel like a lot of people, at least people that I've been working with, they're kind of willing to hang in there and just see what happens those first few weeks. Then the next thing you know, I mean, I've got a guy who says he'd really like to be able to close, before July 1st. So he said, go ahead and put my house on market. We were ready to go on market prior to all this. Another person who they were like, okay, I get it. And then just last week said, well, what do we do if we want to put an offer in a house that we see? And we put an offer in on that house, and there were 4, so kind of like Rick was saying and others, there's still multiple offer scenarios where we're looking at virtual tours, seller driven tours, things like that. And people are putting in offers. And then I guess I want to be sensitive, but fortunately, I suppose might be the right word. They changed some things, so at least the buyer has the opportunity to come to the house during the inspection. And this kind of changed that mindset, I think, for a lot of people. Like, even if I can only come for 10 minutes of the inspection at the end, I get to hear what the inspector saw in person rather than on a video or picture. Plus, I get to actually see the home really quick because I only saw it through maybe 30, 40 pictures in a 7-minute video. So that kind of, I think, helped. And now I believe activities, picked up a little, but it's 100% slower than it was. But, that's where we're at.
For sure. And then obviously, Kelly, you're, you're not physically, well, you are. I was gonna say you're not working with buyers and sellers directly, but you 100% are. But how about for you? How has your, clearly more on the buyers end of things, but how have what's been your experience in these last few weeks with everything going on the lending?
Well, we have to be, we have to be extra diligent and careful with, employment status. So that's what we're, working on right now. A lot, since we're a broker, we have several different lenders, just trying to keep up with, any guideline changes. Being a broker, we're fortunate in, being able to shop different investors and different guidelines. Some investors have different overlays, added overlays, credit score requirements have changed a little bit. the biggest like takeaway I would say is this is all temporary. So,
For sure.
you know, everyone's like up in arms and, you know, this is temporary. You know, we're in the Metro Detroit area. We have, you know, the biggest amount probably of layoffs in the state just because we're, you know, by bigger automotive, you know, line workers. So I do have a couple of buyers that are still in contract, but they are on temporary layoffs. So we're just extending their rate locks and they'll close. They'll go back to work and they'll close. So it's just kind of staying in front of everyone, just really like over communication, you know, being on top of communicating with every party, open and honest questions. And, you know, communication is very important right now, especially with the buyers and letting them know, we're working with them. If you think that you're going to be laid off, let us know. The forbearance question that's going around too right now. This is, very important. So
Absolutely.
yeah, just open and honest questions, really.
Well, as you start talking, Kelly, I realized we skipped you, didn't we? Why don't you introduce yourself?
Oh.
Didn't
No.
we? No? Okay. All right. Okay, good. Okay. So if you don't mind, I think a lot of people would love to get a little bit more insight on that word you just spoke about, forbearance. Later on, don't let us not allow you that time, but it would be cool for you to just make sure you educated our viewers on a little bit better educated them on what that was, what it's all about.
Okay.
So the next thing I want to ask you guys, all of you all kind of touched on this, but why don't you spend a little bit more time on it? Ashley, I'm gonna start with you first. What's your idea? What do you think is gonna happen with the market in this next year?
Yeah, my thoughts are it's definitely a change that we'll have to adjust to. The way that things are happening now with all the virtual tourings, like the Matterport. I don't know if you guys have seen that yet, but to be able to view a home like that online prior to even checking it out, I definitely think it's going to change the way we do things moving forward, meaning we'll be narrowing down home searches without having to go show 10, 15 homes. We'll only be showing 4 to 5 homes before making a decision. Yeah, exactly. But I think it is going to slow down a little bit. We need people to get back to work and have their work all set and straight, and regardless, people need to sell and buy. I don't see the market, everybody says it's going to depreciate and we're going to go into a recession. I don't believe that. I think that the government's really involved this time, so they're going to do everything they can to keep the economy going. For sure. But it is, it's just something we all need to adjust to, and we're in a business where it's a big financial investment, and a lot of people, it's an emotional thing for them. So yeah, I don't know. I don't see it changing. I just see us adjusting, which we've all done a great job doing. Lenders, title, inspectors, everybody. For sure. We've been, doing a good job.
How about you, Joe? You want to touch that one? What do you see? Where do you see the market going in the next year?
Yeah, I think, kind of like Ashley just said, I mean, there will be a change. I mean, it's really hard to know what that change is going to be because we don't know for sure what people will and won't be able to come back to work or come back in the same capacity. I've already had people that are taking pay cuts, right? So that's changed their pre-approval. They were once pre-approved for $300,000, now they're $255,000. Sure. And that's fine. And that's, but it changes their perception too. And maybe if they were renting, they were thinking, I don't want to buy because I can't buy the house that I thought I could buy anymore. I'll just rent for another year. So that could change. It doesn't always have to be, the values are going to drop and this is going to happen. It could be something simple like that. Someone who is renting decides not to buy, which means a seller doesn't sell. I mean, when a buyer doesn't buy, a seller doesn't sell. So that's the way it goes. And there will be, unfortunately, some people that have to sell. But one of the things that I've really, kept tabs on for a couple of years, because ever since I personally moved in 2013, people have said, it's an inflated value, houses are inflated, it's fake, this and that. And 7 years later, we haven't changed. is that there's a lot of equity in homes. You know, when the market crashed in the mid 2000s, there wasn't a lot of equity in many homes. In fact, some people were over 100% equity in their home, meaning that they had a loan that maybe allowed them to borrow 110% value, and they were at 110%. We haven't seen that lately. And so I think because the equity's there, we won't see the mass rush of people that have to sell because they might be able to refinance, or they might be able to work something out with their, you know, mortgage company for the next year or something like that. And kind of like Ash said, you know, the government is doing their best to try and prevent this foreclosure market and people losing all their jobs and stuff. Those things are all impacted. So I think we'll see a dip, but I don't think it's going to be anywhere near what we saw in 2006 to 2010 here in Michigan.
Sure. How about Rick, over on the west side of the state, what do you think is going to happen for you and your business in the next year, or real estate in general?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think that's a really good question to start thinking about. I think really it'll come down to perception. Eventually, I think it will get back to how it was. It'll take a little time, I think, for people's minds to be open to the idea that it's safe to buy, that we are past this, that we're on the rise again. I think one of the key factors real estate wise, with what we went through, you know, like Joe was talking about, is that recession last time, we were a big part of why that happened. Real estate was, and I got in shortly after that. I've only been in the business for about 7 years now. However, this time we're not necessarily the cause. We're kind of part of the collateral damage with that. We've been impacted by it. And so I think the housing market in general has been set up and is doing well in such a way that the market itself won't change significantly. It'll be people's perceptions and how comfortable they feel listing their home again or going out to buy, using their savings. For a lot of people, this has been a scary time. And I think a lot of people will be ruled by emotions on this. And so between that and them kind of getting past that and realizing that, okay, we can move past this. We are, you know, out of the woods, so to speak. It'll be easier for them to do that emotion. So I think it'll take a couple of months for us to get back there. But then also the other side of that is how are our mortgages impacted? There's a lot of lenders here locally that I deal with every day who, you know, they've changed some of their buying guidelines.
Right.
And so, you know, for a lot of VA, FHA loans, minimum credit score for a lot of them here is 660 now. There's some other specialty lenders here where if you don't have 20% down and a 700 credit score, they're not going to be able to help you. So I think depending on who your lender is, depending on your financial situation in a couple of months from now, will really determine their perception of things and really how we handle it, how we speak of it. You know, if we all tuck our heads into our shells, bare our heads in the sand, and just woe is me, and add to it, it'll last longer than it should. So I think we have a big part of that as far as perception goes, and helping people understand the benefit of not doing that and taking advantage of the market, how it is right now. As horrible as it might be to say, there's opportunity right now for people. There's going to be opportunity in the months to come. And so I think the market will rebound. The timeline on that is just a little uncertain for me.
Great. I love your language on just perception and how we handle it, because obviously we're the ones who are really feeding the public, you know, not remotely are we, how you were making mention about creating this. We're not creating this false sense of what the market is, but it's our job to interpretate it. And as long as we're interpreting it well and we're actually, you know, feeding our clients and feeding the public accurate information, I think we'll be able to, you know, keep for the most part, keep the public from the scared selling. Because I would hate to, and I'm sure a lot of you all probably agree, I would hate to have one of my clients sell a property because they're so in fear. This home that they've created these awesome memories, they've lived there for 20 years, because they're scared of what's going to happen with the market, they end up selling that home, again, in attempts to better protect themselves, clearly. But I would just hate for that to be something that happened where we get a lot of scared selling versus educated selling per se. But Kelly, why don't you chime in on this? What do you think the market's going to do in the next year?
Well, I guess like I'm super positive about the future because I did go through the crash on the lending side, and it's completely different. I know like Joe has shared like some great graphs with the housing market and everything from the crash to now. I mean, on the lending side during the crash, I mean, we were doing 80-20 purchases, so zero down, negative amortization. I mean, you were able to borrow up to 120% of the value. We were lending 0 time or up to 3 times 30 days late in the last 12 months. I mean, the credit scores requirements, the requirements on the mortgage and lending side from then until now, it's been so regulated. And like now we verify W-2s through the IRS. And back then, I mean, there was one time I actually, like when I processed when I was like 18, I got a pay stub and like all the numbers were the same. Like it was like 48,000. No, you know, everything, it was like clearly not, you know, but there was no way to really, you know, double check that because they didn't do it. So there was a lot more fraud and everything going on then. I mean, I see people coming out of this, sitting in their houses for the last, you know, 30, 45, however many days we're going to be sitting in our houses. And they're online, they're looking, they're realizing, you know, I was talking to Daniel about this the other day, they're realizing what they're missing out in their current home if they're currently own a home or renting a home, or they're working on their finances, they're working on, you know, their credit and really, you know, seeing what they can do to their credit scores. And I know, you know, like Rick just said, the credit score requirements, again, this is temporary just to get through this. But, you know, maybe future they're realizing, wow, credit really is a huge factor, you know, in mortgage financing and, you know, driving interest rates and such. So, you know, working on credit and going through and taking the time to, you know, be financially sound is going to be more important in the future. I mean, obviously, I think that, you know, there's going to be a lot less handshaking. But besides that, I mean, as far as the market's concerned, I think we're going to come out of this. And I try to keep everything super positive in my life. So I think we're going to come out of this super positive. And I mean, the spring is here and we're a little bit delayed, I think. But as far as home buying, I see people coming out of this ready to put offers in and more multiple offer situations.
For sure. Go ahead, Willie. Well, what's your take? What do you think is going to happen with the market in the next year?
A little bit of everything that everyone said. You know, Kelly actually brought up a good point there about, you know, some people are probably sitting at home now working on their credit and kind of seeing how they can be in a better position. I've had a couple of potential buyers come to me just as this was starting, so this will give them opportunity for that. I've had this discussion with a lot of people, even within my brokerage too, and I know a lot of people are trying to stay optimistic, and I've heard a lot of people say, oh, everyone's pent up in their house, so it's just going to explode. I don't believe that when this is over in the next month or two that it's going to explode as probably as much as some people think. I don't think it's going to, definitely not going to be what we were in 2006, 7, 8. But I think because it has impacted so many people financially with the layoffs, and when this started, we were looking at 14, 21 days of being in the house and pausing things. And now in some places, even like California, when this is all said and done, they've been in their houses for 2 months. So I think some of those people who probably were anxious and ready or hoping to be ready by spring, and then this happened, will kind of push them off. And then we also know too, a lot of people like to get in their house and situate it, especially if they have kids, before the school year starts. So with the not knowing what the school year is going to bring, or hoping everyone gets back to school, I think some people say, okay, that might take us too close to the school year. Maybe we'll wait. So I'm anticipating some of that. I definitely don't anticipate anything crashing or anything like that. But I'm being optimistic, but also realistic in a way to, you know, that I don't believe that there will be this explosion coming in May or June any bigger than maybe what it would have been normally. but probably a little softer than that. But like many of you guys did say, there are some people who have to buy.
Sure.
There are some people who have to sell. I have a listing in Lake Orion. They have to sell, not economically, but other things. So we, so you have people like that, and we'll always be doing business for people like that, no matter what.
Absolutely. What's your take, Dan? What do you think business is gonna, real estate business is gonna do in the next year?
Yeah, I'm trying to remain cautiously optimistic as well. Like kind of what Willie said, I do think there's going to be a change. As Rick said, I think perception is reality, and it's our job to portray the message to our clients and give them the real facts and the real data of what's happening in the market. But I think some people will be a little bit sketchy or scared to start right off the bat. I also think that a lot of people are going through some financial hardship right now, and that's going to affect people going forward a bit. So I think there will be buyers that, fall out of the market and sellers that kind of stay put. On the same token, just like everybody else has said, I think it's different from 2008. I think sellers have equity in their homes. I think interest rates are, right now, Kelly can answer this, but 3.5-ish, right? Where they were probably closer to 6 and 7 before. Inventory is super, super low still. I think it's actually getting even lower now with this, because I think there's more, as many people have said before, there's more pending sales than there are actual new listings coming on the market. So it's only driving up that demand and inventory, bringing down the inventory even more. So like I said, I'm trying to remain cautiously optimistic. I think that we're going to be okay, but there will be an adjustment based on what we were used to, I think, over the last few years. So just preparing for that and doing what I can do to get through it and get my clients through it.
I 100% agree with all you guys. I like Willie. He had a different angle than everybody. Not remotely on a pessimistic end of it, but just being realist with it and making sure he, his gauge on where he thinks we are, where we'll be, and then especially his market specifically. I definitely see some facts to that. For me personally, I think what's going to happen is, I think that, and Dan kind of touched on this earlier, I think the high-end market is just going to be a very soft market. I think it's going to be a lot less activity there. And then and again, this is my personal opinion, that 1 to 350 range, I won't say it's going to be unaffected, because think of who's losing their jobs. I think it's, for the most part, those individuals. It's those homeowners that are being laid off from their jobs or taking pay cuts. So, but with that, I think that pay cut is going to, unfortunately, cause them possibly not to be able to afford their home, or if not even, let's say it's not even an affordability issue, it's more of a comfort level issue. I think those individuals will end up we'll see more homes go on the market from that price point. And that's my take. I think the 1 to 350 range will remain relatively constant. And then the higher end, that 400 plus, I think that price range will feel it the most. Personal opinion. Now, this is a fun one. Let's have a little fun, you guys. So I sent you guys a text to kind of give you a preface on some of these questions, but let's start with Kelly. Let's start with our lender. What is it that you actually love about real estate?
Well, I love everything about real estate. So on the mortgage end, I mean, I guess because I started so young in the business, I started processing. I just know the whole, start to finish of the process. So going into sales was really easy for me because I was able to ask the right questions and, make sure everyone was very, pre-approved before heading out. So, I mean, obviously I don't get to see the homes and do the fun things. And quite honestly, haven't really been able to see a lot of the appraisals lately just because we've had so many waivers. So that was the only fun, part of getting the appraisal and seeing all the pictures and everything. But yeah, we've just, I guess I've just been in the business for so long. It's all that I really know. So yeah, I have to be positive because this is what we do.
For sure. well, a lot of times I stick to last person. I want to let somebody who's usually closer to the end answer for Dan. How about you? What is it that you love about real estate?
For me, it's a pretty cliche answer, but I love helping people. I love servicing people. I pride myself on communication and stuff like that. So that's a big thing for me. And I love negotiations. I love getting into negotiations. I love kind of going back and forth with people and just having that competitive side of me in it, but making sure it's a win-win for everybody.
For sure. How about you, Rick? What is it about real estate that you love?
Yeah, like Dan, I get fed by helping people, by serving them, and so for me, I mean, a house is a home, right? Like that's the cliche that I can come up with. It's more than just a house; it's a home. It's, I like to be a part of helping people find a place when they're sick. It's where they want to be, where they're going to make memories. All of those different aspects. It's such a huge part of your life. And to be able to come alongside people and partner with them to really look out for their best interests, protect them in a way that otherwise I wouldn't be able to do in such a significant part of people's lives. I think that's pretty amazing. And I'm thankful that I'm in a position to be able to do that with people.
For sure. How about you, Ash?
Well, kind of just like everybody else says, I love helping people. I like where I'm at now because I'm on a team. So I get the luxury of obviously helping my friends and family, which is awesome. But I also meet a ton of new people from all different walks of life, people with families, single people. I work in all different areas. So really getting to know areas in the market and just really helping people. And then what we get paid is just a byproduct of really what I love doing.
Awesome.
I love staying busy. Shopping, I love shopping, so I work mostly with buyers. So I love looking at homes. I really do.
For sure.
It's fun.
That's awesome. How about you, Willie? Why do you love real estate?
One of the things I love about real estate, to be honest with you, is it's all inclusive. It's every race, every nationality, every background, every person. It's a place where it doesn't discriminate, and everybody who has the right to own a real estate in the state of Michigan, I'm able to help them, and I think that's one of the beautiful things about real estate, and I think that's something that where we are in life today, in a way, we're kind of far removed from what the past used to be. As a Black man, there was a time we couldn't buy real estate, we couldn't live in certain places, and to be I'm partnered with a white lady and who I love and respect, and we're great friends. And those two things, there was a time in my parents' life that couldn't happen. So that's what I love about real estate.
For sure. That's awesome. I hate going after Willie because Willie's got like this radio voice. It's like, how do we follow up after this guy ever? Joe, how about you? What do you love about real estate?
So clearly it's working with people and helping people. I mean, my a friend posted on like, if you didn't do what you did, what would you do? Like that, like one of those questions, and or if you could start fresh out of college, or high school, what would you do? And besides this, I would have probably gone into psychology, and I think that just kind of sticks with the concept of like working with people, understanding people, trying to help, that type of thing. So that's what I love about what I do. And then I guess to not be cliche and part of the like honest answer, one of the things I love to do is something that somebody else didn't do, whether that be list a house and sell it in a day, take a buyer into an area that they didn't think they could find a home and find it. List a house that's going to take a year for somebody and get it done in 6 months. I mean, it's not always in a day or in a week, right? But it's like, do something that somebody else thought was impossible. That's my own like personal, like that's the like Daniel said, like the competitive side of things. Like that's the fun part for me. After helping and serving, it's like my own personal part. It's like doing something that I felt somebody else struggled to do.
For sure. And answer the same question personally. everything you guys said. Definitely love the helping side of it. I 100% get I get enjoyment and satisfaction from knowing that I'm helping this family find a home that some instances is a forever home or that first home, or somewhere in between, that this is where they're going to create some awesome memories. And hopefully I'm an advocate and somebody that's partner with them through that buying process, for the rest of their buying career, their house buying career per se. But the next question, why did you get into real estate? I'll start. For me, and Joe actually just kind of answered it. I'm going to give that honest answer because I love being able to give the answer. And then after being in the business, the reason changed. We all need to make a living. We all need to pay our bills. We all need to make money. So I got into real estate for the reason a lot of people do. They say, I want to make all this money. I want to, I want this certain lifestyle. After a couple years of being in the business, and it didn't honestly take a couple years, but I really had that epiphany a couple years into the business. Like, yes, I picked the right business because of who I am. I am this helper. I get more enjoyment, to be honest. You guys know me, I'll keep it a buck. This is no bullshit. I literally love helping people. When I had a client last year and a half ago, she's literally one of my biggest advocates. I'm pushing 40-year-old man, I'm boo-hooing at the closing table because she was so happy. And that was affirmative for me, knowing that, this is why I do it. This is awesome. And Kelly's smiling. I think she knows who this young lady is. She actually, that was like affirmation, like, yes, this is why I do it. This feels freaking awesome. This is great. So came into business, to answer the question, I came into the business for some financial freedoms, for some freedom in just some personal freedom, period. But it very quickly turned into a situation where I got more enjoyment. I love being able to pay my bills, of course, but I got more enjoyment out of the feeling that I got from knowing I did an amazing job by my clients. Let's go with Willie. You're going last on this one because we don't want to hear your voice. Let's go. Let's go with Ashley. Why'd you get into the business?
Well, first, I come from a family of business owners, and when I was in high school, my mom sold one of her businesses, and I was so interested in like the transaction and how everything worked. And when I seen what the realtor made, I'm like, it's a no-brainer. Like, obviously, like most people, you get into it for the money and the flexible schedule. So just like you, I started where my mind was just, I want to do this for the money. I want to, make a living for myself. And then quickly I realized there's so much more to it than that. And now kind of piggybacking off of the last question, it's like, now I find enjoyment in the negotiations and getting offers accepted. Like, we all get this kind of like, rush
Sure.
when we're actually able to help our clients into a home where there's 8 other offers. And then just like you said, to see them so happy and crying at the closing table, it's just like the relationships you build are just second to none.
For sure. Awesome. Let's go ahead and give you a chance, Dan. What made you get into real estate?
So again, reiterating kind of what you guys are saying, not to get too deep into it, but I played college hockey. I had multiple concussions. I had 4 concussions in a year and a half, and it put me back and out for a while. I didn't work for about a year and a half after I graduated. So I started running out of money, and I was broke. And I basically said, what's a job that I can do where I don't work 9 to 5 every day and have to report to someone, where I can make my own money, but kind of control my schedule as what I thought it was. But I realized once I got into the business, if you're controlling your schedule and you're not doing anything, you're not making any money. So, but as everyone else is saying, I got into it for that reason. It was honestly out of necessity. I didn't have money. I needed a job, and my family has either invested in real estate of some sort or developed real estate. My dad's in construction, owns a construction company. So I was familiar with it, never, as a realtor sake, but I got into it for that. And then now obviously getting into it, the big thing for me is that I can create a life for myself for sure, but also a lot of other people around me that you can't just do in an everyday job. And that's what motivates me now.
For sure. Awesome. How about you, Joe? Why'd you get into real estate?
Well, I had a partner, but I had a moving company prior to real estate, and we did a lot of business, and we had great relationships. We worked with Lombardo Homes and Mark Z, and I mean, these people referred us directly. We had like partnerships with them. It wasn't just like a maybe they would refer us. We were literally their go-to, and so we had a great business, but it's a tough business. And so ultimately, I said to my partner, I was like, I don't know how you're doing, but this isn't going to work for me financially. We've been at it for like 5 years now. It's a strain. So it was just a natural transition. I was kind of still working with the same people. I'm just at a different point in the juncture. It's like I'm still moving people. It's just not physically. And I'll tell you, there was a big experience from moving that kind of translates into real estate. It's stressful. Even if the process is super smooth, there was never a hiccup, the inspection was great, it's stressful for the person that's doing it because they just don't know what's going to happen. And it's kind of funny because moving was the same way. It's like everything just happened. Cool. They closed, whether it was a good or bad experience. Now they had to actually take the contents of their home and transition them to another place. And that was, again, a stressful experience. So it was awesome when 98, 99% of the moves went good. It was awesome at the end of that. And it really sucked on those 1 or 2% that it didn't go good. And it's the same way in real estate, right? It's like, it's super stressful, and we're here to, help make it not stressful. I try to explain to people, like, you can be emotional. I'm not emotional. I'm emotional for you, but like, this is a transaction for me. This is what I do on a day-to-day. It's kind of like a surgeon, right? It's like, I don't really want to equate us to a surgeon, but I'm saying in the sense of like, if it's a heart surgeon, he or she is doing heart surgery every single day. But when it's my dad, man, it's scary. But for that heart surgeon, it's not. That's what I mean. Like, when it's your house, it's scary for you, but it's not scary for me. I know what I'm doing. And so I got into it because it was an easy transition. It made sense. I wanted to be able to keep working with the same folks that I was working with, just had to do it in a different way. And obviously in a way that I can work for myself and not have to worry about staff and other people and things like that. So.
Of course. Okay, cool. Rick, how about you? Why'd you get into real estate?
Yeah, it's really two parts. One, I've done a lot of different sales type paths since college and the Marine Corps. When I got out, I've sold Kirby vacuum cleaners. I've sold health
Thanks
insurance.
for your service, Rick. I forgot you said you were in the Marines.
No, appreciate that. And so, college enrollment, all that stuff, and it was all really great, and a lot of it was not tangible. And so, selling the idea of something was great. Higher education, I believe that's a really great thing for people if you feel it's the right thing for you. So nothing against that. Health insurance, obviously, people need health and life insurance. It's a good thing, and to be able to physically put your hands on something you're purchasing is great. And so a lot of those things, the problem I ran into is I was always working for somebody else, and I would work hard, and I didn't necessarily feel that I was always compensated the way that I felt I should be. And so I worked harder for myself and for the current team I'm on than I ever would have for anybody else. And so kind of that opportunity to do that has been really great. And then transitioning that to the people side of it, I'm a bit of a social butterfly. Have been since 5th grade. That's kind of, I got in trouble in my report cards for always chatting and not really listening or paying attention. And so being able to meet all sorts of different people, to make that kind of an impact, such a positive impact in a positive way in people's lives and connecting with them on a level that that they're going to remember me ideally. Like that's my goal. And so being able to create the financial opportunities that I would desire for myself is huge, but also the ability to impact people and kind of make this almost like a ministry and be in people's lives in a positive way is one thing that I really like about real estate and kind of drew me to it.
That's awesome. Cool stuff. How about you, Kelly, before we go to Willie? I just realized as we're having Willie go last, it's kind of the layup. He gets to really gather his thoughts. But Kelly, what's your take? Why'd you get into real estate?
So I got into mortgages, but when I was in high school. So the flexibility of being able to go after getting out of my junior class and like going straight to my office, mile down the street. And I, being able to do that. And I actually also manage rental properties in Detroit and Inkster. So getting through like all of like the Section 8 tenants and everything and being able to help them purchase their first home was like the most rewarding. And then I actually bought a home in Detroit in Warrendale when I was 19. So I really I tried to go to, schoolcraft for a little bit. That wasn't for me. So, went to private schools my whole life and then don't go to college. It's not like the greatest thing for a parent, but I got my first house and I was actually able to flip it when I was pretty young. So that was super rewarding. Being able to help like first-time home buyers was the most rewarding part for me, just to see the savings of going from a rental to an actual homeowner and the advantages of owning a home.
Right.
For clients was like so important. It still is. I mean, rental rates are so high. So showing a client a difference of owning a nicer home for a lot less per month is rewarding. And just the reward of owning a home and saying you own a home is so important for so many people. For sure.
Yeah. Willie, why'd you get into real estate?
I'll keep this to like a minute and a half. So for a short period of time, about 5 years ago, I lived in LA and I came back to Michigan, what was supposed to be temporary. And when I said temporary, my car and furniture were in a storage unit in California. So I was only supposed to be here for a few months. And it was right when Detroit was coming out of bankruptcy. So once I was seeing the bankruptcy from afar in LA, and I could just see the sense of community and camaraderie that this area kind of had, coming on the upswing. So I decided to stay in Michigan, but also around that same time, I had been in corporate America in marketing and communications for about 10, 12 years. And I remember one day driving to work down 75, and I just got a flash of what my life was going to be like for the next 20, 30 years to retirement. And I realized at 30 years old at that time, I said, I love my job, but I can't do this every day. This commute, this punching in, punching out, and working for somebody. So those two things combined and thoughts around the same time is when I started to make the transition out of corporate America and into real estate. And some of the people, kind of talked about money. My only goal was to I said, I just at least want to make how much I was making in corporate America, decent amount. And I've been able to do that. But as I've been in it for these last few years, I've worked with and helped families of people that I've known since kindergarten, first grade, middle school. And something about being in a real estate transaction with them, helping them and their family buy their first home, and the struggle that they might have to go through with that, it really adds to that friendship, and it brings you guys closer. And it's those transactions where I said, okay, this is what I'm for. This is to help people in various things that I do in my life, and real estate just happens to funnel into that overall purpose that I have in my life.
Awesome, cool stuff. All right, you guys, next, what I'm going to do. So I had quite a few more questions I was going to ask everybody, but I think you guys all see as we get to talking, and this is what we do. We love expressing what we do. It takes a lot longer than the time that we had allotted. So I'm only gonna I got one more question. Then if you guys had questions, I would love to do like a brief marketing session where we kind of tell our viewers what we have on the plate, maybe coming soon, about a new listing or even buyer needs. So this is a cool platform to be able to broadcast it. But I do want to, I'll ask you guys, which one of you guys do you think that, or this is what I do. You guys answer the question that you want to answer. So out of the 4 other ones that I didn't ask you guys, I think it'd be cool to let let our viewers know either what do you love personally about your brand or company that you're with? What do you want to be known for from your consumers, from the marketplace, from your clients? What do you want to be known for? And then this is kind of one in the same, I guess. Why do you think you're the best agent for your clients? Clearly this is our time to kind of humble brag, I guess they say, about why we think we're best suited to help our clients. So how about everyone just pick which one of those they want to answer? And then whoever wants to go first, I'll let you guys go first. Go ahead, Willie.
I'll go first. I'll talk about my brand. So I'm with Remax and Remax Eclipse out of Waterford, Bloomfield, and Troy. When I got into real estate a few years ago, I came to Remax for the brand of Remax. I was familiar with it. I loved it. But over these last few years, and I tell them this all the time, I've stayed for the family that I have there. The support, I have the best support that I've had in any job I've ever worked here in Michigan and California and anywhere in between. They are the major reason why I am a successful real estate agent right now. The drive and, like I said, the support and the team that we have built. So that's what I'll say. Remax Eclipse is probably the best decision I've made in my real estate life.
Awesome. Who wants to go next?
I'll go next.
All right.
So I'll answer the same question that Willie just answered. I joined the Mark Z team right when I started real estate, and I've stayed with him since. I love that our brokerage, we're with EXP as well, so everything's virtual, which we've been able to really utilize right now during all this. Everything we do is kind of like a Zoom call. It's a little different though. It's kind of cool. Like we have our own little virtual world, which they host a ton of trainings, and you're able to actually go right in there, speak directly to your broker or anybody in the accounting department. And just the team aspect is really why I picked the Mark Z team, because obviously they're very well known. He's branded himself everywhere, so everybody really knows who he is, what he does. And just the energy of the office. I mean, we all hold each other accountable, and it's just a really big family up there, and I love it.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, Joe.
So I think I'm going to kind of mesh those two together as far as like what I want to be known for and why I work where I work. And that is that, I've chosen this brokerage that I'm at, and even my last one, because they allow me to be an individual or a brand, if you will. And one of the things that I really, pride myself after is knowledge. And not just like market, what do you call it? Like the area expert knowledge, but more so like knowing information about what is different between now and during our economic crash, understanding why unemployment numbers are or are not impactful, stuff like that, as well as, of course, the area that you are best suited if you're searching to sell at this type of price point or buy at this type of price point or whatever. And so, that's what I really, try to pitch and market the most. And it's kind of hard to do because, when you do a 3,000 word Facebook post or blog post and boost it out, a lot of people aren't going to be able to, read all that. When you do a 25-minute video, a lot of people aren't going to stick for 25 minutes. So it's hard to really put that out there. And so it really just comes down to, being able to work with some people that understand that and then get that referral because they appreciate what you did. And so that's really, the most important thing, for me when I chose, where I've worked and things like that. And then, really just understanding how to move along with the future. I was fortunate when I came into the industry for people that understood that tours, Matterport tours, were a big thing. And then, I joined a coaching program that understood YouTube was a big thing. And now when I do a YouTube video and or Matterport tour on homes that I've always done, now more than ever, it might be the most important thing I've ever done for my seller. So, just being be able to see the forefront or the future, whatever the right word is there, is really important. So that's what I really pride myself after. That's why I work where I work, because they allow me to do those types of things and not just promote their brand, so to speak.
For sure. Kelly, you want to touch one of the question options?
Yeah, I can do that. So I work for a small brokerage. So I went from starting with a broker when I was 17 to now ending with a broker. And this will continue for the remainder of my career because I've gone back from broker to lender to lender to broker. So I've seen both sides. And for me, it's the best fit for my clients. We're able to shop programs, rates, everything with our different lenders. Who really work for our business. So, they're, our wholesale lenders need our business. And so they strive to work for it. So that's why I love where I'm at. And then I don't know if did you want me to touch on the forbearance right now or wait?
Let's come back to that because I think we're all a couple of you all gave awesome questions that I especially Ashley. I definitely want to touch on her. Let's do that, and then right before we do our marketing session, we'll come back to let you touch the forbearance.
Okay.
Dan, how about you?
Yeah, so I'll answer what I want to be known for. I'm not a big fan of talking about myself, but one of the reasons, the reason I do real estate now, and I've come to find out, is I want to be known for having an impact on people, whether that's financially, with my time. I want people to know that I have their best interest. I communicate transparently, but most importantly, that I have an impact on them, like I said, whether they're going through something hard or being able to create a world where I can give back in financial terms or my time. So
for sure, and I can speak to that. Dan, he was one of when I started at the broker, I switched brokers, but when I was at the same brokerage, Joe and Dan and I, we all were at KW Advantage together, and Dan and I quickly created this bromance, whatever you want to call it, because we just had a lot of similar values, and everything that Dan said is he's speaking the truth. I mean, he definitely is one of the, I won't say one of the few, because I know it's tons of us out there as well, just like Dan, but he's very sincere in the thought, the idea of just making sure his clients know that he has their best interest. That's love him for it. Rick, how about you?
Yeah, I'll talk about a little bit why I joined my team a little bit there. So I joined the Lucas Howard Group. I was on my own for about 9 months. Was kind of floundering a little bit, struggling, wasn't quite sure how to tie real estate into all the experience that I had in sales. And so I needed to align myself with somebody who in our area was doing a large amount of business, who was, generally a good person. And every time I talked to anybody in our industry, they all were like, hey, you should, at our brokerage, talk to Lucas Howard. He's a great guy, So chatted with him, joined his team. Had planned on being there for maybe a year or two, kind of soaking up as much as I can, and then bouncing, getting what I needed, and then going and do my own thing. And still here with him years later. And so what I realized is their world is so big that my world can fit in it, and as long as that happens, they really take care of me, and I mean that as far as I'm a better person, a better agent, a better father, just a better man of God, just all around. I've got a great leader to set an example, to challenge my thinking, to hold me accountable, to make me the best that I can be. And so I always joke with them, originally they were like, yeah, you're here a year or two, great. Now they're, good luck getting rid of me. I'll find you. And so for that reason, it then translates into, you are who you surround yourself with, and the level at which he operates and thinks has impacted me in a way which then allows me to impact the people in my life and to be one of those people that they can turn to for whether it's advice, real estate info, whatever it might be. I desire to make that positive impact in people's lives, a lot like Dan said, because really that's what it's about. It's about people, and if you can do right by people and take care of people, the rest of your life will work out just how it's supposed to. So that's kind of why I joined my team, is that love, that family mentality, the culture we have, and the ability to continue to grow and be challenged to grow each and every day.
Absolutely, that's awesome. Okay, and then I'll answer as well. I think I'm going to wrap up what do I want to be known for, and how do I best suit my clients' needs. I want to be known by the market and my clients for just being creative. This business is it's about the people. Yes, we're in the business of selling real estate, selling this piece of property, helping this buyer purchase this piece of property. But at the end of the day, it's about those people on either side of the transaction. And with that, as long as I can have coachable clients, I think you guys all agree with this. We know how to structure a deal, whether it's you have the wherewithal or whether it's in your comfort level. We know how to get a deal done. I don't think any one of us is afraid of a multiple offer scenario. We just I want to be known that if it's in the cards for my client, if you have the comfort level, sit aside. I'll be creative enough to help get that deal done. So that's something that I pride myself for. I think we all kind of said the same thing in the fact that we get a little bit of a rush and we love the negotiation side of things. That's the one thing that, no, I'm not like you guys where I probably shouldn't say some of this stuff, but I'm not the guy who's the best communicator. Ask any girlfriend. I'm not that, but I make sure you get the information you need, and I'm getting better at it. But on the negotiation side of things, I'm comfortable up against anybody. But now I wanted to pivot a little bit. So you guys, we had a few questions that you guys had, and I think Ashley had a real good one. Did you want to read it off verbatim, Ashley, or because I think I'll butcher it? You just something about marketing with the COVID, right?
Yes. So my question, I work mostly with buyers. So my question to you guys who take a lot of the listings is, let me see here. With the COVID challenges, what are some of the things you're doing marketing-wise to promote your listings and stand out among all the other inventory, I guess?
So I'll jump in first. I 100% pivoted my business where I'm trying to be more on the listing side. I love the buying side, so it's always going to be a part of my business. But I'm doing my darndest to get in front of more homeowners. But with that, clearly I can't sit in front of the homeowner. Joe, I'm not going to steal your glory because I saw your social media posts and it was amazing how you were saying how you can combat Zillow. But with everything that's going on, piggybacking what I said, we just have to be super creative. I think we have to have tons of resources available to our sellers to help buyers see the property in the best light. I think we really only have one shot to sell homes nowadays. We have to, most importantly, price right. So I think we really have to make sure we're not here. This is the variant. As long as we price within 5% of what we think it'll sell for, no, I think we have to hit the nail on the head because our buyers have all the tools that they need to best gauge the value, your anticipated value of the home. But we have to hit them once with the pricing. Pricing always one of the most important things. But then all of your, between the visuals, so your photos. I cringe when I see. None of you guys do this, so I cringe when I see cell phone pictures. It's like, you guys, we make thousands of dollars, and it's not an instance where it's not at least $1,000. I have an awesome real estate photographer, which all you guys do as well. You're doing your client. Shame on your homeowner for using you. and this, I'm sorry, I won't go that route. It's unfortunate when we think that we don't have to invest $150, $200 to get professional photographers. We're the professional. Everything about our property we're presenting should be professional. So images have to be tip top. And then with all of your, I think we got to spend a little bit more stuff we didn't have to know normally. We didn't have to do on everything. We kind of have to make sure we do now between virtual tours, the Matterport, like you're asking, Ash. And then I personally, if you can get a homeowner to literally walk the property, yes, give your super professional, videography, get those images done. But I think agent, to make sure the deal doesn't fall apart, I think it's a best practice should be getting your homeowner to literally walk the home and literally show the home with their cell phone footage. This is that actual walkthrough, because nowadays what we don't get, and sorry I'm running on so long, what they aren't able to get is that organic feel of literally walking in the home and saying, this is home. That's the one thing that we can't do right now. So if we can make sure we do as many efforts as possible to make sure they can get that feeling, I think we need to exhaust them. So that's. And
to piggyback off what you just said, kind of about the virtual walkthrough, I got this listing in Lake Orion, and that's what we had the sellers do. And I said, start at your front, open the front door and walk through and show us everything in a continuous flow. And that's what they did. And then also, as far as taking another level, as far as marketing, whether it be new listings or whatnot, me and my partner, last week, about a week and a half ago, we just started marketing just the virtual buying process. And the thing about that is, even if you take the virtual tour out of it, even when the stay-at-home order lifts or whatnot, some of those elements we can still implement in our business. Yeah, we want to get back out to maybe show our clients some homes, but there's no reason why the EMD can't be electronically, sent. Obviously, we still use AuthentiSign or electronic signatures. There's no reason some of these other things can't be implemented to where when this order is lifted, then we have to make a whole completely different shift. I think if we set a pretty decent foundation now that we can kind of take through the most of the season, then there will be less pivot, if you will, that we need to do later on. And like we all kind of said earlier in the call, there are going to be people who have to buy. There's going to be people who have to sell. So I don't think, and this slight tangent, and I don't believe anybody on this call is doing this, but it makes me cringe when there are real estate agents out there right now who are just kind of sitting back because we can't physically go and show a house. They're sitting back as if nothing is happening. And I always tell people, I said, showing houses is only like 20% of what we do. After that, you got to write the offer. After that, you got to negotiate. You got to talk. You got a contract. Like showing a house it's not much. And as we're seeing now, there's ways to get around physically showing a house. So, so I think what we do now with our marketing, and if we do it right, it can still sustain us after whatever is going on now is over.
For sure. Rico, Rick, why do I call you by your last name? Rick, with what you guys got going over at Lucas Howard, what measures are you taking on the listing side with the COVID-19?
Yeah, no, I get called Rico a lot, so it's all right.
Rico's cool.
Been with him my whole life, so it's a good name to have. No, for our team, we try to be really proactive. We've always been proactive with everything. I think I mentioned it before, the perception of things, really making sure that, we are putting virtual walkthroughs on there, even if we weren't before. We're in the marketing comments, letting the public know, hey, if you'd like more information, please reach out, other agents, let's talk. You want a walkthrough video? Is there anything specific you need? Like, we'll work with you. So really making sure that anybody who could be interested in a property knows that as a team for our sellers, we're willing to do whatever we can do within the guidelines of the stay-home order to make that happen and make the process as easy as possible. On the buying side, it's just about knowledge. Hey, guys, this is what it looks like. People are still buying and selling. It honestly, every part of real estate for the most part has stayed pretty much the same, except for we show homes in a different way, and I can't go to the closings anymore.
Hey, Rick, sorry, I don't want to interrupt, but Ash, she has to go. Everybody knows this went on a lot longer than we expected. Ash, did you have any buyer needs you wanted to let us know? You got any buyers that are looking for something that you guys have been a hard time finding?
Actually, so I mean, at the beginning of everything, the lead flow was so, sparse. But right now, in the last couple of days, I've been getting a ton of buyer leads. I picked up a new seller, so I'm kind of just re-engaging everything with them. As far as listings, nothing that I can think of. But if I do, then I will definitely reach out to you guys.
Okay.
But like I said, I got another meeting to jump on. So
right.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks.
And
Thanks, Ash.
Bye, guys.
All right. See ya.
Yeah.
Okay, Rick, we didn't mean to interrupt, but did you wrap it up or?
Yeah, essentially it's just making sure they understand, like I was saying, real estate for the most part, outside of showing homes, which just looks different now, and my personal attending closings, real estate hasn't really changed too much day to day for what we do, honestly. And so it's making sure we communicate that, impact that perception, and make sure people know and can feel comfortable and confident with how things are going to move forward. And that's really the best approach that we've had.
Okay, awesome. Joe, how about you? So her question was just with the COVID-19 concerns, how are you changing your marketing and such to stay top of mind, I guess?
Yeah, in some ways I'm not changing at all, and in other ways I am. And what that means is right now I can't have a photographer come through your property and do the things that we would normally do. But I think I kind of stated earlier, I've been a Matterport tour guy for a few years now. I've only skipped it on a couple of properties. And looking back now, I'm thinking, why did I ever skip it at all? Because you just don't know what the future beholds. Starting almost 2 years ago, I started having a YouTube video style, shoot of like a walkthrough of the property. So I've never not done that, whether it's been $100,000 listing or a $500,000 listing, I invest that. So right now I can't do that. So what I would do, and I guess maybe I'm fortunate that I haven't had sellers that have to get on the market in the next couple of weeks, so I haven't had them do it, but I've had the conversation about, let's do kind of like one of these Zoom calls right now so we can kind of do a walkthrough and I can start making some notes of what you should highlight.
Love it.
Then send you through, do a 4 to 7 minute video. I've put a buyer under contract. That's what his seller did. The video is not as nice as the one I would do for sure. They don't have a $3,000 camera and lights and all this other stuff. They're using a nice, Samsung or iPhone or whatever, but it's good. It's quality so that the buyer who really needs to buy a property and get into a new house has the opportunity to see it. So it's very easy to do those types of things. And that's exactly what I would do from the video and picture standpoint right now. And again, I've always been a fan of, social media, putting it out there, blasting it on both a business and personal side of Facebook and Instagram, LinkedIn. I'm not a Twitter guy, but I think Twitter would be, an opportunity. And put some marketing dollars out there so that it's getting blasted out. There's people who are sitting at home right now that don't realize that real estate's happening. So if I can put a house in front of their eyes today when they're scrolling through Facebook, complaining about, Trump or Whitmer or something like that, and they can see a house all of a sudden, awesome. Maybe they'll get, sidetracked into the type of thing I need them to get sidetracked into,
Sure.
So that's marketing for me right now.
How about you, Dan? With everything going on, what are you doing different for your listings?
Yeah, so I love what Joe said, honestly, and I hate to say this, but I think the good realtors aren't changing too much because they were already doing the things previously that they're doing now. And it's even more important now, obviously, when you talk about professional photography or the Matterport, people can't physically go into a house right now. So you need to get in. Our job as realtors, as far as marketing, is to get as many eyeballs on that property as we possibly can. So you need to get people to feel comfortable being inside of that home virtually. And that's what a Matterport can do for you. That's what a video walkthrough can do for you. And then Joe beat me to the punch here, but I agree with social media, being able, everyone's at home, right? Who's not on their phone, who's not on Instagram and Facebook. So being able to blast that out in front of as many people as you possibly can right now, that's the thing. And I also think going even deeper, I think we've somewhat been a little bit spoiled in the past with not having to do this, but going forward, I think post-COVID, when we go back to normal, I do believe that getting in touch physically on the phone with agents that are doing business in those markets to stand out and say, hey, here's my listing coming up, and kind of getting in front of it that way too. So
Absolutely. How about you, Kels? You're in this as well. How are you? I guess for you, we'll say, just how are you changing your business with the COVID-19?
We haven't really changed much at all, just because everything typically is, online, virtual. So,
Right.
I used to have, actually in like the month before the COVID and everything, I did have several, like especially newer buyers want to meet. So I did have buyers come to my office and meet them at Tim Hortons or whatever. But we can still do that on Zoom or FaceTime or whatever if they needed to. Everything's electronic. So we haven't really had any changes with anything as far as that. I mean, obviously guideline changes and several verbal verifications of employment and such, but yeah.
So
I mean, go ahead.
Yeah, on the lending side, I guess this is our time to kind of ask you what. I'm gonna own it now, Rico. Rick, he kind of made mention earlier about some of the guidelines changing. I know, just to slow down from some of the inquiries you all were getting, you all were, I forget what the actual term, but to slow it down, it was a process you guys were doing. And rates were actually a little bit higher than we saw them for the last 6 months to, last few years. Are rates kind of back to what they were? And then what guidelines have changed that we could actually speak on?
So the rates were very low for about 2 weeks. And then, some people wanted to take advantage and then held off for a little bit and then came back around and they increased a little bit. The rates are still, very low. So I think that 2 week period where they, drastically,
right,
went down is kind of like, oh, rates are high again. Well, they're not really high. I mean, they're still lower.
Right.
The guideline changes that I've been seeing, obviously, the multiple pay stubs, expiring within 10 days of closing, several verbal verifications of employment. The guideline part, they've been adding, some of our lenders have added additional reserves. So, and especially with like a time like this where, the forbearance is coming up because people don't have the reserves in their account to make their mortgage payment. So adding the additional requirements of additional months of mortgage payment reserves is right now. Non-QM, which is like more of like the bank statement programs and such that did come out and were around for several years, is, slim to none right now. Jumbo also not really selling on those. So it's all temporary again. So, but yeah, I mean, as far as like credit score requirements have increased, especially on FHA and VA. But every one of our lenders, since we're a broker, it has a different requirement. It's just trying to keep up with the daily changes and just informing our clients of what's going on.
Okay, cool. That's kind of creepy. People are walking behind. It looks like a scary TikTok or something. All right.
Me?
Yeah, in your house,
great.
yeah.
I'm not surprised.
We all have controlled environments, yours.
Yeah, I don't. I'm shocked that no one's coming here. Like my 3-year-old hasn't come in here running here naked or something.
For sure. Well, that'd be funny. But no, so we're gonna wrap this up. But right before we do, we'll go to like a brief marketing session where you guys get to, if you have any listings going, you can kind of tell them where and what kind of let us know what's going on with them. And then if you have any buyer needs as well, buyers that are looking for something specific, who've been looking for a while and you guys having a hard time. Kelly, why don't you go ahead, help us out. Give us a better understanding, or give the public a better understanding of that forbearance.
So the forbearance that has been talked about, there's no qualifications for it. So just, you could be financially sound and qualify for it just by asking.
I'm a homeowner, and because this was my rationale with it. I'm a homeowner and everything's going on. It's crazy. I don't know what for the next few months. I don't know what's going to happen with the real estate market. I'm okay. My bills are paid. I have enough money to make my payments, but you're telling me I can hold on to my money for a few months. I don't have to pay. What's that all about? Isn't that a forbearance? Like, that was my thinking on it. So.
Right, because we equate it to like a student loan. So, that's typically how an average person, obviously we all had to look up the guidelines and how each servicer took, forbearance. And so the majority of the servicers, how it's working is you have a 3 months forbearance. You don't pay, say, May, June, July. August 1st comes around and then it balloons. So you owe May, June, July, and then August. So, you're not going to, the majority of people are not going to have those funds, come August 1 if they don't have them now.
Right.
The other impact is credit. So it's going to show in forbearance, like a student loan would show in like a deferment or something. So it's going to show then, and then say rates do drop again in August and you start repayment and you're able to pay your balloon payment and everything. You don't have a last 12-month history of mortgage payments. So you can't even refinance with Fannie Mae or Freddie until you have a 12-month mortgage payment history. So it's not really a benefit it's there for someone that has the potential of losing their home.
For sure.
So it is there for a reason. And I just read like a statistic this morning that like only 2% of people have taken advantage of it, which is good because it's not good for our servicers right now. So, it's there for the very few people that, need it to stay in their homes. But if, you don't need it, it's gonna be, hurt credit or future, financing, if you do in fact use it.
Awesome. Thanks for clearing that up. All right, you guys. So, Rick, for the most part, are you on one side more than the other, or do you work both sides, buying and sell?
Yeah, I primarily deal with buyers.
Okay.
I'll help anybody set them up if they have a listing with our team or whatever. So but primarily buyers is what I focus on to kind of be the expert on that one side.
Okay. So how about, this is going to go to your platforms as well. Do you have any buyer needs, any buyers that you've been working with for a while that looking for something specific, and somebody that might see this might have that as a pocket listing, or, you might have a homeowner that's ready to offload exactly what you're looking for. You got any buyer needs that you want to kind of express?
Honestly, they're all over the place, all different price points, different locations in our area. So I'd say if there's something about that maybe isn't already on the market, reach out and let me know. And then kind of a plug for being the only West Michigan guy on here is, always open to any referrals, or if anybody knows of anybody looking to make the move over to the west side of the state. I'm your guy. Let me know. I'll help them out.
Love it. Absolutely. All right, Dan, for you, so buying and selling side, you have any listings that you want to highlight? And then on the buying side, any buyer needs that?
Nope, just buyer side, kind of the same as Rick said, but I have buyers in South Lyon, Livonia, and Milford currently right now looking. They're mostly all under 3 to 350. Again, different types of houses. Some want a ranch, some want a colonial. And that's about it.
Awesome. How about you, Joe? You have any listings on the market right now, and/or any buyer needs?
Yep. So I think I had mentioned earlier in the call, I had a listing that we started to list and then we decided to hold off. So we put it on market. So one in here in South Lyon, technically Lyon Township, 61171 Saddle Creek Drive. And right now it's listed at 380. We do have the videos and things like that. So happy to, provide that for anybody. Would love to, have someone bring a buyer through. We're certainly open to, negotiation around anything that's going to make the deal work right now. And on the buy side, I mean, I just had a conversation with a brand new buyer yesterday who's looking kind of out in like this area of, say, Oakland and Livingston County. So like the, Milford Commerce to Lyon Township area. And then a couple of Canton buyers. So Canton is remaining hot. That's where I'm seeing personally the people I'm working with seeing these multiple offers. So, man, I'd love to at least know what's coming to market. I don't expect specialty, but if someone's got something coming to market, just say, hey, look out Friday. I got one coming. At least I can, be up and at it at 8:05 on the MLS. Like, boom, there it is. I saw that one Jarvis was talking about. And then, Dan and I were both in South Lyon. I've been here longer, so please reach out to me. No,
That'd be a mistake.
How about for you, Willie? Well, tell us about the Lake Orion listing, and then what any buyer needs as well.
No buyer needs right now. Like I said, most of my buyers that are active are pending or about to sign leases. But I do have a Lake Orion listing. It just hit the market last Sunday. 6870. Yes, 6870 East Stonegate Circle. It's actually a newer build. It was actually they just closed on it last September. So that's listed at 465. And that was the one that I mentioned about. I do have the seller walkthrough video of that. So if there's anybody that wants to see that, I can send it over to you as well.
Awesome. Then me, during our quarantine time, just like Dan had may mention, and a couple of you guys may mention, just about pending deals. So I have two of my listings that went pending the weekend. I put them on the market, but then I have one that we reintroduced after a price correction per se in Clawson. So it's a 2,000 square foot home. It was originally a ranch, and my homeowners did an amazing job with the addition. So it was about 1,000 square foot ranch, and then they added the full upstairs and then onto the back as well. But gorgeous home, 2,000 square foot, 5-bedroom. 5-bedroom, 3 full bath. Awesome lot. I mean, it's a prime Clawson. It's 14 and Crook. So that one's still on the market. We're at 315. Super motivated. Have all your virtual tours and things that sort as well. So if anyone wants more insight on them, buyer needs. I'm just like all you guys. I'm kind of all over the board. I have the buyers that are a little, I won't say reluctant, but I have the working class. I love my buyers. They have to take a little bit more time and kind of fill this out. So we're doing that, and I'm obviously keeping them educated, but no buyer needs, I guess, right now. Kelly, how about you? Any cool stuff going on with Key that you think we should know about?
Well, I was more out and about, and we were doing classes and stuff at Schoolcraft and, more fun things, but we're gonna, obviously hold off on that for a little bit longer. We had Jarvis came for sure. And Joe, right? You were there. So just doing what was that?
Joe and Dan, they both were there. We're all there.
Yeah. I'm like, it feels like a year ago. It was only like a couple months ago. Doesn't it feel like so long ago?
Nuts.
So I was trying to every quarter do a Q&A between two agents that do separate types of business. So
awesome. Okay.
We did that a couple months ago, I guess. And so hopefully we'll be back and doing that again at Schoolcraft and, getting out there more. We're all kind of stuck in the house. So
sure.
Doing these is actually more personal, but.
For sure. And last thing, you guys, so we've been on way longer than we anticipated, but this was awesome. I had a blast with you guys. I appreciate you guys. You filled up my time blocking that I wouldn't have been doing anything. But why don't you guys go ahead and give a shameless plug? Who is a referral partner, a vendor of yours that you think they're the best in the biz at what they do. Go ahead. Let's give a shameless plug. Rick, who over on the west side does an amazing job at whatever they do, and who are they, and how can we reach them?
Yeah, I would say for us here, and they go a little bit further on the west side as well. It would be JW Home Inspections. I've got a lot of experience with different things. However, they are my go-to experts on any type of home inspection. They can do it all. They're professional. They're well respected, and very thorough. And for me, the biggest thing I appreciate with them is they're not afraid to kill a deal by pointing things out and making sure the buyer is well educated and knows really what's going on with the home, which is something I need. So you can check them out at jwhomes.com or jwhomeinspection.com.
Awesome. Okay.
They're really great.
Cool. Willie, how about you? You got anybody you wanna plug?
Yeah, it's a home inspector as well. I use Pillar to Post, more specifically, Young Chung. He's phenomenal. He's actually the one that did the inspection on my buyer's home on Tuesday. And while he was there, he kind of FaceTimed her with any problem areas, so to keep her engaged. One of the things I love about him, he's priced appropriately, but if you were to be there with the inspection, you get a physical binder when you leave, and then he also electronically sends it to you. So you have all of that in hand before you even walk away. And the electronic one's perfect for if you're not able to make the inspection as well.
That's pretty cool. Okay. How about you, Naurato? You got anybody that you live by?
I'm going to go with two. I couldn't go without saying Kelly. So Kelly is very, very good. She's always in touch with the clients. Clients love her. She obviously has very good rates and all that, and she saves her clients money. But more than that, communication and all that stuff. And most of my clients absolutely love her after they're done with her. Second person is Bicentennial Title. So I do all my title work most of the time through Bicentennial. And I've been using them since the day I got in the business. I've never had one issue with them. They're always communicating if there's any problems that they see up front, and letting us know prior to it getting to a point where it becomes a problem and the deal might not close. So they're great over there. They've always taken care of me. So I'll just give a little shout out to Bicentennial Title.
Nice. All right. How about for you, Joe?
Well, I was going to go the title route, but I guess after I tried to stab Dan in the back earlier, decided to take that from me. No, I will stick, though, with Sarah Fierk at Title Partners. She's just been instrumental even in my own business, but she's always made sure that there's a special refinance price that is just a flat price, so anyone refinancing gets that that price. And then she's always been helpful for my own business. She asks what she can do. She's referred people to me, but also if I have an event or I have something going on, I can reach out to her and say, hey, can the title company help promote this and market this with us? And they absolutely do it. So whether it be from a real estate side, other realtors could be using her in their company, or just the individuals. Again, you can choose your title company. So look into Title Partners, Sarah Fierk. It's SFIERK at Title Partners at mytitlepartners.com.
Wow. Given the contact and everything.
Yeah, here's her phone number.
That's awesome. How about for you, Kelly? So, Kelly, who's your favorite Asian to work with? I'm kidding. Who's right?
So I my referral is going to be Sam Parker, my credit guy, restoration. So this is so important because of we're seeing how important credit is right now, especially with these overlays and stuff. And I mean, I can't stress enough how important credit is in every aspect of your life. I mean, buying a car, buying a home, it's just so important. So if anyone is, has a client that they're, even if they're working with another lender, get them into credit repair. It's not, there might be an upfront cost, but in a monthly for however long it takes, but the amount of money that they can save over the course of a loan with a higher interest rate, or even, by removing things off their credit report that they don't have to pay. It's so important. And getting on it right now, if they can get it fixed in a month or two, they're going to be in perfect prime time for buying season. So yeah, Sam Parker, my credit guy, and he's based out in like Arizona, but they're just so good at, you know, communication with, you know, the referral partner. So I get constant communication with their team, and everyone just raves about them. So.
Okay, awesome. And then I'll just piggyback, you know, a couple of you guys. So I use the same title company as Dan. I wouldn't use anybody else. I love Bicentennial out of Livonia. And then from a lending side, clearly I respect you enough that I asked for you to join our call. So Kelly Belcher, obviously I got my clients absolutely adore her. You've saved a couple of deals, and you know, clearly your communication, they love how you communicate and how you handle the business. But I'll go with the inspection side of things as well, because we all know that it's such a vital part of the process. And if you aren't, like Rick said, if you don't have a inspector that's comfortable being as transparent as they need to protect that buyer or seller, then they're doing a disservice to your client. So my guy's gonna be Kevin Meiselback with Great Lakes Property Inspections. I only personally use him. I don't even have another contact. But he always drops what he's doing, makes sure he makes time for my buyers. My buyers love him. But then you don't get a binder when you leave, but when you are within a couple hours of the inspection, he'll have that email to you, and then obviously it's very thorough in walking you through the concerns of the home at the time. But again, I want to thank you guys for jumping on. Obviously, when we get great like-minded individuals, time flies when you're having fun. So this lasted a lot longer than we anticipated, but appreciate you guys again jumping on.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, you guys. Happy Monday. Stay safe out there, you guys.
Thanks.
You too.
Thanks.
Bye.
Appreciate it.